There's so much to say about Tantra. But the secret is all yogis became tantrics to some degree. Married yogis must have training in Tantra to manage all the complex material situations that they will find themselves in. And this, ladies and gentlemen, Tantra is the science that accompanies yoga. And this is because the civilization of India has for tens of thousands of years been a scientific, you could say, tantric civilization. Now there's one more piece to this. The biggest problem, the sexuality part that everyone identifies Tantra with, is what we do with our sexual energies. Do they run the show, or is there a science of controlling them? And there is. Namaste, and welcome to Vedic Vidya. My name is Jeffrey Armstrong, Kavindra Rishi. Vedic Vidya is available exclusively on Citti Media English channel on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. IST. Our topic tonight is, what is Tantra really? Or what are the Vedic views on creativity, procreativity, relationship, and sexuality? Tantra is one of the words that slipped into Western vocabulary back in the 60s. It's almost a synonym now in English-speaking circles for sexuality. And like so many Sanskrit words that come into English without purposefulness, that is an incorrect definition. The word Tantra actually means the tension that exists between all reality. In every department of the world we live in our own body, within and outside, is tension. In fact, you could say that science is the science of managing tensions. So there's a companion word that goes along with Tantra, and that is Yantra. If you have an automobile, you'll understand there's a blueprint somewhere for that automobile. In that blueprint, the tension between all of the parts is calibrated very, very specifically. That calibration is Tantra. If those tensions are right, the car hums and works just perfectly. If they're not, then it doesn't function correctly. So Tantra is the tension and its relationship to functionality, to action. And Yantra is the geometric shape of the blueprint or the structure in which a particular Tantra is taking place. Isn't it interesting? These are scientific terms. Coming from a time in history when we wouldn't think that science existed. But of course, science as we know it did begin in India. And it did begin as a Tantra between all things, with departments, just as we have scientific departments now, of studying these particular relationships of tension, force, traction, torque. All of these things are the same principles that we humans experience in the science of psychology. We feel stressed, we feel stretched. We use these words because we're inside, and this is the first yogic principle. We are not the vehicle. This is where the Vedic civilization is entirely unique from the one lifetime worldviews. Whether it's modern science, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, all of those worldviews are predominantly one lifetime worldviews. And it's very interesting because that creates a tension of itself. So remember, we're studying Tantra tonight. So this Tantra is the tension. If I tell you you only have an hour to live, would that make you tense? Bet it would. Therefore, your Tantra would change. Your Yantra would respond. Your consciousness would reflect upon those things depending on what your definition of consciousness and self is. So, what we think we are is part of the Tantra. Who we see ourselves to be, and what we think of this whole situation of being here within matter is also part of the Tantra. So in fact, embodiment is Tantra. It is about the tension between functioning departments and parts. There's the same relationship in our bodily organs. They talk to each other all the time. And an educated doctor understands that your spleen talks to your liver, which talks to your kidneys, which talks to your stomach, which talks to your heart. There's a tension or a tantra between all these parts. Now on to the biggest tension that animals and humans seem to share in common. Is it not the tension to reproduce, or the tension, the forceful engagement of our sexual energies talking to us? And do they not talk to us? Doesn't your body ask for things? Your stomach does when you're hungry. So all of these hungries and all of the energy that's moving through the body, all of these hungers and all of that moving energy are participating in a tantra. You may remember when we talked about Jyotish that the 9 planets or grahas have a tension because they exist inside of us and out in the sky. There's a part of us that moves when they move, so the movement of the celestial objects in the sky also changes our tantra. As a matter of fact, if you ask chemists, it changes the chemical matrix. All of this is interconnected. The study of that interconnectedness is Tantra. The application of that to human relationships and the understanding that we are not the vehicle, we are the driver of the vehicle. Or it makes the Tantra different for the culture of India and Western civilization. As soon as you have only one lifetime, everything becomes very tense. If you wanted to make everything intense, well, it's working. It's like beat the clock. You have 1 hour to answer this question. And if you don't get the right answer, your life is over. Tense? Yes. Tantra? Not so good. Now, where does this show up first in our life? Well, it shows up in one department called procreation. After all, is all sexuality designed to make babies? Or is it designed to experience pleasure? Or is it designed to release extra energy? Is it a compulsion of energy? Is it a desire? We use the word in English, are you loving the person or are you releasing energy? These are Tantra questions, aren't they? But I want you to think again, this is part of yoga. It's actually called yoga/Tantra. Because yoga is a particular way of inhabiting our physical body where we purposely bring it to balance. And instead of being dragged by our senses and their hungers, we pull back as if they were a herd of horses or horses that were pulling our chariot. we rein them in and don't let them drag us. Tantra is a science. Sexuality should be a science, but you see, in a one-lifetime civilization, both gender and sexuality have been sore spots, have been huge problems. This is immensely true for our civilization. Look at our divorce rate. How's the Tantra going? Oh, 80%, 60%, 70%? Depends on where you are. This shows that the matching of vehicles, you heard me right, that's Tantra. It should be objective matching of vehicles isn't working very well. How long does it take to get your driver's license? 6 weeks. And how about a marriage license? 6 minutes? The Tantra is wrong. The study of the tensions isn't driving the show. What is? Probably, you've experienced it, you watch it and see it all around you, some compulsion. We also call it addiction. What is an addiction? It's the quota of pleasure that I want each day isn't coming from the objects around me, so I'm going to import one that makes me feel happy. The relation between happiness, the tension of pleasure, happiness, sexuality, our energies, is all a single subject called Tantra. Of course, sexuality is very important in this discussion. So let's talk about something for a moment. Isn't it interesting that our genitals are down at the bottom of, if you were sitting up like I am, or if you were standing, they're at the bottom, and we even call it our bottom. So at the bottom of the system, the energy flows upward from there, and on the way up, it encounters the genitals, encounters at the base of the spine, encounters the anus, where we excrete. It encounters the genitals, where we reproduce. Then it moves up into the stomach at our navel area. Then it moves up into the heart. This sounding familiar? Have you heard of the chakras? Then it moves up into the throat. Then it moves up into this area between and above the ears, the eyes, and the forehead. And then it goes to the crown. So it's possible for that energy to rise. And it's possible for that energy to move in various ways. But we don't have those skills when we're born. The energy moves compulsively. So here's the thing to understand. Yoga is directing our attention to the fact that we're an immortal being so that we relax and become balanced in the midst of all of the forces around us. It's focusing upon the source of consciousness inside of us. And then it's restraining, pulling back, it's called pratyahara, pulling back our senses and disciplining them and saying, wait, hold on, whoa there, hold on. And if we're really smart, yoga has us study them, and this is where Ayurvedic medicine, Jyotish, Vedic astrology come in. They're the psychological, physiological departments of yoga culture, where you learn about the specifics of your vehicle before you partner with another vehicle. Now let me give you a concrete example. How would it be if you were a race car and you decided to get hitched with, married to, a truck? You're a race car, you're hooked with a pickup truck now. How's that going to work? Well, there's two ways to look at it. If you use them separately, the race car could make money and the pickup truck could carry groceries. But if you expect them to go down the road together, the Tantra is wrong. The Yantras are designed differently. The yoga of staying balanced won't perfect the sex. It won't improve the procreation. Let's talk about procreation for a moment. By the way, it comes from the Sanskrit word prakriti. Pra, to produce, kri, by cause and effect, iti, again and again. So Tantra realizes that everything in this world is being created again and again and again and again. That kri is an important word. When we talk about karma, we'll go into more depth on that. But for now, in Tantra, the vehicle and the situation and the devices and the science and the forces are all there. The question is, can you read the diagram? The question is, can you assess the situation and respond appropriately to create a balance? And this is the key word. Now I want to show you a secret. The secret of Tantra is Namaste. This is more than just a greeting. This is a remembrance that if you don't go to balance, your Tantra is going to be wrong. If you don't learn to circulate those energies, the Tantra will be wrong. Now there's one more component, and you can see them all when I say it. There's Yantra, there's built-in tension, there's Tantra, there's how that tension is operating and what you can do to shift it, and then there's mantra. Mantra is using vibration to control the system that is being affected by the yantra and the tantra. So the mantra, yantra, tantra is a group of technologies used in India to interact successfully and positively with all of the things around us and to become scientists about how we partner, about where we live, about the foods we eat. All of that is Tantra. About when we procreate instead of by accident, compulsively, on purpose. Even to the point that if you really understand this, you'll wait for an astrological moment that is accurate, and 9 months from then, a particular child will be born. I've actually advised couples in having a child that they wanted by arranging when they would come together and procreate. This is Tantra. Science is Tantra. But human Tantra is not understood outside of India very much because of one lifetime prejudice. This changes the situation, dramatically upsets the balance. Now there's one more piece to this. The biggest problem, the sexuality part that everyone identifies Tantra with, is what we do with our sexual energies. Do they run the show, or is there a science of controlling them? And there is. This science is also taught in certain martial arts in China, in various places in the world, because it's yogic. Because Tantra is taking the sexual energy when it activates in the genital, and instead of letting it push out there, moving it up the spine with a meditation, using a mantra and asanas and focus and breathing, it's actually possible to harness that energy. Just think of it as a power plant. Think of your sexual energy flowing down like a river and just simply going downstream compulsively, according to the rains and the season. Now think of you learning how to pull that energy up from its lower departments. Pull it up the spine, bring it up to the top of the head, circulate it and bring it down the front of the system. This irrigation of your system, with you managing the power. Imagine our society if we didn't manage the power plants. If the electricity just ran everywhere. There's so much to say about Tantra. But the secret is all yogis became tantrics to some degree. Married yogis must have training in Tantra to manage all the complex material situations that they will find themselves in. And this, ladies and gentlemen, Tantra, is the science that accompanies yoga. And this is because the civilization of India has for tens of thousands of years been a scientific, you could say, tantric civilization. Vedic Vidya means shining the light of truth. Tune in to Vedic Vidya on Citti Media English channel, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. IST. My name is Kavindra Rishi, Jeffrey Armstrong. See you next time, and have a Namaste day.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.